Hi everyone, welcome to Canada CPA Online Academy. So as we are going through these Canadian auditing standards series, we'll start the discussion with individual standards and and I will try to explain wherever it has been tested and how to link it back to the AOs. So we'll start with the CAS 200. So 200 is the overall objectives of an independent auditor and conduct of the audit as per the CAS. So it is a base standard that gives you how to conduct the audit on an overall basis. So let's start with that. So in your uh, now I'm referring it from Notia, but you will have your handbook. You will have the section for your Canadian auditing standards, and this is the first. So just before we move on, just wanted to give you a brief overview of how each standard is usually structured. So each standard usually starts with the introduction, definition, then requirements of that standard and the application area for that standard. So if you see up to this point, the actual standard is, and all the explanatory matter is, or the appendix is usually at the end. So this is a good it is a good practice. If you're not clear on some point, you can always go back and refer to the explanatory material, and sometimes there are some examples, some details given which help you to clarify the concepts of the standard. If you are somewhere, sometimes some definitions are required to be quoted. So quickly you can go scan through the definitions, find a definition, and move quickly through the standard. Okay, so let's get started. So very first standard, CAS 200, overall objective of the independent auditor and conduct of an audit in accordance with the CAS. Now, this applies uh, to the auditor's overall responsibility for an audit of financial statements in accordance with the CAS, and that's the scope. So all types of independent audits. Um, Now they go into detail what is an audit of financial statements and everything. Then there are definitions mentioned, like what exactly audit evidence is, what is an audit risk. So if you ever need to quote a definition, come to this section, copy the definition, and use it to explain your answer. Now, the main part of the standard starts at the requirements. So what are the requirements? What is this standard specifically saying? So there are four parts in this. First is the ethical requirements relating to an audit of financial statements. Now, this is a repetitive testing area of in the case scenarios. If you will see that this comes as an AO, that there is some ethical question, and what would you do, whether you should uh, accept the assignment or not. So initial engagement and all that type of AOs, you would have to come here. Now a quick tip is, this gives you very briefly that what is a ethical requirement is and what are the ethical requirements. So if you click here, it takes you what exactly is challenged. So maybe in a case fact, the audit, the integrity is challenged, objectivity is challenged, some professional competence and due care is challenged, or there is some confidentiality issue. If there are some board members that is also an auditor in the firm, then there is the clash, how the professional behavior should be. So you can point it out exactly which point is clashing with the objective of the ethical requirement. So that is first, that is what the standard is saying, that there are ethical requirements that need to be followed as an auditor in any audit engagement. So what are they? And the details are there. Second important point is professional skepticism. So what uh, the overall basis of an every audit is, um, like you vouch for the evidence, you trust the evidence, but you need to verify it as well. Okay, so what that means is auditor needs to have like that curious and questioning mind also as well. Do not take everything at the face value. Use your professional judgment to question the authenticity of any document, any evidence that you are given, and based on your professional judgment, ascertain whether it is appropriate evidence to validate the transaction. At the same time, when we are saying talking about the professional skepticism, we are not doing a fraud audit as such. So there is a difference between having professional skepticism and doubting everything. So you can't challenge and doubt everything. So that's where your experience as an auditor, your professional judgment as an auditor plays part. So that is the next point, that professional judgment, like how much evidence to collect, what should be the risk, what is significant, what is material, what can be what needs to be checked in detail. So that all becomes a part of the professional judgment, and that you get based on the knowledge of the client, how many years that you're doing that audit. Is it a first or initial assignment? Then you need to go deeper for the initial, unless you get that confidence. And all these things will come as a part of professional judgment. um, Next is sufficient. You should auditor should always obtain appropriate evidence and for the audit risk. Now there are 2 points here: sufficient and appropriate. So in any audit evidence, when we say sufficient, it always refers to quantity. Now they have a detailed discussion in the annexure paragraphs, like what is sufficient, how to determine, and all these things. Explanations will come later. There are specific standards which talk about audit evidence as well in 500 sections. We'll go through that in detail at that time. But on this standard level, what they are saying is auditors should obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So sufficient again refers to the quantity. Is it enough? And appropriate, like appropriate means whether the quality, it is questioning the quality of the evidence, and both needs to be accompanied with your professional judgment to ascertain that. And the next part is complying the CAS with all these relevant CAS. So what they're trying to say here is not every CAS applies to every audit, right? Like say like evidence and everything would apply to everything. But say if there is an expert opinion needed, it's not that every single audit will require an expert opinion. So what they are trying to say is comply with the relevant CAS to that audit. So if expert opinion is not needed, that CAS wouldn't be applicable for that audit engagement. But where it is required, refer to that CAS and apply that. Similarly, if there is an internal auditor, do you want to trust the work of an internal auditor? There is a separate CAS for trusting or reviewing the work of the internal auditor. So you will have to refer to that if there is an internal audit department. If there is not, there is no need to refer to that. So whatever standard applies for that specific audit engagement, so based on that, you will have to refer to that specific CAS. That is what it is saying. And the important point is failure to achieve an objective. So if an objective is relevant to CAS and it cannot be achieved, then auditor should evaluate whether it prevents from expressing an opinion and whether it should give a qualified opinion or it should just withdraw from the assignment. And that's what it is saying. So this is a very basic, simple CAS. Nothing too specific, doesn't go into too much details of anything. It gives you an overall requirements of an audit. But uh, what has been tested is, as I mentioned, that the ethical requirements part, that if there is a clash of objectives, and like what is a professional skepticism, like when that needs to be followed. So link back all these things to your case facts, state your case facts, mention what the CAS is saying, and same as you would do for your IFRS, like quote your handbook criteria, link it to case back, and then conclude. Same you can do with the CAS as well, time permitting, of course. But if you refer to the CAS, always your AOs become more focused, your answers become more detailed and as required as per. So you don't have to keep everything in mind. Like you can quickly come to this portion and see what is clashing, and you can write it in your AO. So that's it for CAS 200. Hope this is helpful, and I'll be doing each CAS a separate video, and we'll discuss how it relates to the audit assurance AOs. And all the best, keep studying, and please like, share, subscribe as always to the channel, spread the word, and thank you so much.